The ocean, alive with alien-like creatures, including the octopus, nature's ultimate transformer, masters of disguise, magicians of the sea. Journey into the world of the amazing octopus, coming up now.
Jellyfish adrift on the Southern Ocean. The first of many dangers for a newly hatched octopus. Very few will survive their first weeks at sea, in minefields of stinging tentacles. The risks of ocean life are high, the rewards are higher. There is much edible plankton to feed on, and survivors grow quickly. Having reached the size of a pea, an octopus descends to the sea floor, where it will spend the rest of its life. Here, danger is all around, and finding shelter is vital. Without a shell of its own, it makes use of others. This oyster bed to the south of New Zealand, at a depth of 100 feet, will be the first of its many undersea gardens. Its main enemy will be the blue cod. Bold and dangerous, it is a most persistent predator. It will need every trick in its bag if it's to evade this threat. When bigger, the octopus will attack large crabs, but for now, it must avoid becoming crab food itself. Thankfully, the crab has poor eyesight, with primitive compound eyes like an insect. The octopus has some of the best vision in the sea. Though the images are monochromatic, they are polarized and sharply defined. The snake star is another invertebrate. Like the octopus, it has no nerve cord, but that's where the similarity ends. The snake star has no vision and no brain. The only invertebrate as smart as an octopus is another octopus. They display emotion by changing color, usually when disturbed. This intruder has come too close. The homeowner attacks, turning dark with anger. The intruder turns white, either in fear or to frighten. Octopus are solitary, they don't tolerate intruders. But it's a size-based society, and the larger animal will always win. Lacking a shell has another advantage. It can squeeze through the narrowest of gaps. Being without shelter around here could cost your life. The cod are on the prowl. They'll snipe at anything edible. There's a scramble to find cover. But no place, no matter how secure, is completely safe in the oyster garden. Nothing escapes the ravenous jaws of the oyster dredge. It's our consuming passion for these succulent shellfish that causes destruction on this scale. The dredge is indiscriminate. It drags all in its path to the surface. The octopus can endure long periods out of water as long as its gills remain wet. Its instinct is not to hide, but to attempt an escape. Freedom, but it's not out of danger yet. It adopts the parachute morph, suckers all curled, ready to strike. In the chaos of attack, it somehow escapes. It's very lucky. Probably less than 1 in 100 young octopuses even make it to this size. Marauding bands of cod and spotted wrasse gorge themselves on refuse that rains down from the oyster boat. With so many predators about, the oyster bed is proving a perilous place to grow up. The young octopus soon must find a safer garden. Having survived its first 5 months, the octopus has now swelled from the size of a pea to a football and is identifiably female. She begins her journey into shallow water across a field of sea ferns. These strange fern-like creatures are not plants, they're animals. They catch plankton on mucus-coated arms, wiping them clean in their mouths, like honey off a finger. The sea fern also breathes through gills on its 8 arms. The octopus too has 8 remarkable arms, each one lined with hundreds of suckers, and each sucker carrying thousands of taste and touch receptor cells, making her arms the most sensitive part of her body. Her gills are hidden deep inside her mantle cavity. The exhaling current has a unique second function. It's propelled through a multi-directional jet siphon, designed for speed and maneuverability. As she moves on, her arms run wild, taking in the taste and feel of this new area. Her eyes watch for prey and predators. Almost instantly, she changes color to match the surroundings. The shark is well equipped with detection sensors. Camouflaged, she freezes. When it's safe, she moves on, each of her arms carrying out its own independent reconnaissance. Each arm is a separate sensory organ with its own neural control. She only brings them all under the central command of her brain for more complex tasks, like swimming.
Coming up, deep sea cleaning. When Wild Discovery returns after the break.
Here at shallower depths, increasing sunlight supports a garden of plants and plant eaters. At a depth of 50 feet, she climbs a seaweed-covered reef, crawling with snails. The rocks are fuzzed with algae, which they rasp clean using strips of fine, sharp teeth called radula. The radula is a tool possessed only by shellfish. Though there's little obvious resemblance, the female octopus finds herself among relatives. Octopus are simply advanced shellfish. She even has a radula, but it's hidden deep inside her parrot-like biting beak. She brings it out for drilling access holes in the shells of her victims. Having dined well on her relations, she moves on, creeping through a bed of wafting sea tulips. In spite of their name, sea tulips are animals. They even possess a primitive spinal cord. Strange to think that we are more closely related to sea tulips than we are to octopus. This smart snail without a shell instantly changes color as it leaves the reef and enters new surroundings. Here she spies a new delicacy. Stalking the solitary lobster will require cunning and persistence. But if she pins it with her suckers, there will be no escape. Her bite is directed at the eye stalk, injecting poison into the optic nerve, which leads directly to the brain. The lobster is paralyzed in just 3 minutes. The bite is followed by a shot of saliva containing digestive enzymes to break down the muscle attachments of the lobster. The pureed flesh can now be sucked from the body, leaving hollowed-out legs and an intact shell. But lobsters are usually much more difficult for octopus to capture. They crowd tightly together in crevices and overhangs. They stand firm in a defensive scrum. Their suits of armor, complete with lances and spikes, discourage the most determined predator. But the female octopus has cleverly located her own personal supply in a lobster pot. Finding the way in is a bit of a problem. But not for long. Her appetite is insatiable. She's doubled her weight every month since hatching. Octopus grow almost as fast as they eat. A well-fed octopus can exceed the weight of an undernourished one by 10 times. But gluttony brings trouble. The octopus's desire for lobster rivals our own. Octopus are direct competitors, and fishermen have no sympathy for them. For fishermen, this is a pot of gold. These lobsters will travel to the dinner tables of the world. A day's catch may be worth thousands. But this rascal has eaten into the day's profits, and it will soon be killed. A problem with the equipment provides a lucky distraction. The legendary escape instincts take over. It sidles away on a slow motion but desperate bid for freedom. With not one, but 3 hearts pumping furiously, she makes a rapid, jet-assisted descent. Her copper-based blue blood is not as efficient at carrying oxygen as our iron-based variety. She tires quickly and touches down in a very different garden. This is more of a desert. The inhabitants of the sand garden are well camouflaged, with bodies flattened in low profile, like the flounder. To survive here, she must use stealth mode, and she must find shelter. Distracted by all the holes in the sand, she begins searching for food, each of her 8 arms probing under independent control. A mantis shrimp takes evasive action. Digging in the sand garden proves to be well worthwhile. Nearby, she chances upon the ideal hideaway. This old pipe will do very nicely as an adopted shell. From the security of her new lair, she can ambush her favorite food: paddle crab. Paddle crabs' eyesight is not very sharp, but they can detect movement. Catching them requires the utmost stealth. The octopus pretends it's a rock, then, very slowly, extends its arms. Victory, finally. She punctures the crab's shell and injects cephalotoxin, the octopus's own poison. Some octopus are among the most poisonous creatures known. By contrast, catching ghost crabs is as easy as pulling carrots. She has little trouble finding food in the sand garden, and there is another bonus to living here. Scattered about the place, there are more old pipes to use as temporary homes. But as she's about to find out, these pipes are not what they seem.
Coming up, close encounters with the octopus, when Wild Discovery returns after the break.
There are 150 species of octopus, occupying all the seas in the world from the poles to the tropics. They're among the best known marine creatures, but they've seldom been studied in their natural environment. Natalie had a line of 50 clay pipes put out to attract octopus. Just days after placing them in the sand garden, she had an occupancy rate of more than 70%. Natalie wants to find out when octopus like to forage and whether they return to the same pipe. In each acre of the sand garden, there is over a ton of crabs and shellfish. Little wonder so many octopus were attracted to the pipes. Our female has made herself at home in pipe number 12. They're not territorial in the usual sense, but they will fight to defend their lair. The combined strength of 2,000 to 3,000 suckers is immense, and there are reports of breath-hold divers drowning when an octopus refused to let go. By surveying the pipeline 3 times a day, Natalie is forming a picture of their way of life. Attacks are an occupational hazard, but these ones seldom bite. This is New Zealand's largest species and is not poisonous to humans. Their behavior varies enormously. Some are curious, others are downright aggressive. Gathering growth information is not easy when you're trying to measure the ultimate transformer. They can contort their shape so completely that the only reliable measurement is between the eyes. Using the water that's pumped past their gills, they can jet propel themselves over 500 yards before they become exhausted. Most of their energy is put into finding food. Offering a crab will always gain their attention. While she's observing them, they will often use their suckers to taste her as a possible meal. Octopus have several favorite hunting techniques. One is the prospecting pounce. It envelops a clump of weed within the membrane between its arms, trapping everything inside. Then there's the simple lunge and chase method for slower prey. The pincer attack with two arms at once requires patience, which is often lacking. Even the loss of an arm is no handicap to hunting, and a missing limb can regrow in as little as 8 weeks. Some crabs seek the protection of a safe house beneath a sand anemone. This living arrangement benefits both. The crab receives shelter, and the anemone gets the occasional tidbit when its squatter brings dinner home. It may look harmless enough, but its tentacles deliver a nasty sting which octopus are careful to avoid.
Coming up, the fastest growing plant in the world, when Wild Discovery returns after the break.
It's now well into spring. More than a year has passed since the female began her eventful life. Once more, she's homeless, this time in a dense kelp forest. Octopus may grow quickly, but kelp is the fastest growing plant in the world. It increases by an arm's length each day. The kelp forest is a plant eater's paradise, and it's also heaven for a hungry octopus. She now measures nearly 6 feet from arm-tip to arm-tip, and her appetite is bigger than ever. But harvesting the fruits of this forest is not without danger, as she observes. A smaller octopus, white with fright, is dragged into a lair. But what appears to be aggression could be the pounce and grab of octopus mating. Minutes later, the intruder is released. Whatever happened in there, the kelp garden is no place to be homeless. She continues searching for a shelter of her own. Finally, a lair, somewhere to hide and keep watch away from the menacing cod. Watch and wait. Patience is an octopus virtue. Every meal adds to her size. She is now so large that even her arch enemy, the cod, must pay her grudging respect. She could eat one if she's quick enough. There's a new octopus on the reef, also searching for a lair. Octopus see other octopus as either a mate or as food. Our female enfolds the intruder. Cannibalism is common in octopus society. Their poisons don't affect each other, so they kill by strangulation. For every pound of food she eats, her weight increases by more than half that amount. She has a food conversion rate of up to 80%, one of the highest of any animal. Her cannibal meal will further fuel her growth and promote the development of eggs that are perhaps even now growing inside her.
Coming up, the mysteries of an octopus's nightlife revealed when Wild Discovery returns after the break.
Like an aquatic Pied Piper, she is followed by a procession of wrasse and cod, on the lookout for an easy meal. The reef edge is prime territory to several large octopus. A refuse midden shows that the owner has a preference for mussels, but the nearest bed is 100 yards away. This animal must gather them and bring them home to eat in peace. The reef edge lairs are also within easy reach of the sand garden, which no doubt is another reason why they're so popular. Research has so far concentrated on octopus's daytime activities. Next, the mysteries of their nightlife will be revealed. Natalie hopes to learn whether octopus are more active at night than by day. Many creatures wait until daytime predators are sleeping before they come out to feed. To search out crabs and worms, the nocturnal gurnard uses highly sensitive feelers that are modified parts of pelvic fins. Cod are sound asleep and vulnerable to octopus, so at night the table is turned and predator becomes prey. And night dives reveal that this species of octopus is often nocturnal. At night, vision is not very reliable. They rely more on touch and taste to guide them on hunting forays. They need all their senses with hungry night prowlers like the conger eel about. In the dark, while fish sleep, plankton rises to feed. Close behind them, schools of squid. Though squids swim all their lives in the open sea, have 10 tentacles, not 8, and are more sociable creatures than octopus, the two are next of kin. Natalie's night dives continue. They span the entire period from dusk until dawn. By midsummer, breeding is well underway on the reef. Male and female sea eggs release millions of eggs and sperm into the sea, providing a windfall for the locals. It's an inefficient way of breeding. The gametes meet by chance out in the current. At this time of year, when the sea is full of plankton, octopus also breed. Searching the reef, Natalie discovers our female has laid many thousands of eggs that now garland the entrance to her lair. There's 40 to 50,000 of them. The discovery of this and other nests offers a whole new dimension to her research. Natalie keeps watch on the developing eggs and the mother, who never leaves the lair. Instead, she lives on her reserves. Starving octopus have even been known to eat their own arms. She will brood her eggs for around 40 days, depending on the temperature. The warmer the water, the shorter the brooding time. And she regularly jets water to aerate the eggs. The eggs are also gently cleaned with her tentacles. Maternal care like this is unrivaled in the world of invertebrates. But an octopus mother pays the ultimate price for devotion to young. It will soon kill her. The color-changing chromatophores now become clearly visible. These tiny magic sacs of pigment stretch or contract to change the color and darkness of the octopus. As always, the cod is on patrol. Octopus caviar is a delicacy they cannot resist. Her maternal instincts are finely tuned, and she barricades her lair, protecting her precious eggs. When finally the yolk sac that nourishes each embryo is empty, it's time to hatch. These miniature replicas of adults come ready equipped with siphon and tentacles. As her babies begin to hatch, she pumps them free, off on a long and dangerous journey on the high sea that may take them hundreds of miles from this garden. Few will survive this journey. Their fate will be decided by many things, including wind direction, sea conditions, and predators. With all her larvae released, the female is finally free to leave her lair and search for food. But her supreme brooding effort has desperately weakened her. The cod sense that she is vulnerable. They begin their attack. The cod's peg-like teeth are made for grasping, not tearing, just like crocodiles. And like crocodiles, they too death roll as they feed. She hasn't the strength to protect herself, but still she ejects a smokescreen of ink. These dark clouds taste bitter and are intended to distract the cod. She somehow manages to escape, but with only 7 of her arms. Once she might have regrown the arm, but not now. She's nearing the end of her life. The lost tentacle writhes, its own nervous system unaware it has been amputated. She may have escaped the cod, but she cannot escape the inevitability of death. Her short life ends as the first snows of winter appear on the mountains. Octopus live fast, furious lives. Few survive beyond 2 years. The lives of these alien creatures with a large brain, acute vision, and advanced nervous system comes to such a sudden and unspectacular finish. It's a humble ending for an animal that's been hundreds of millions of years in the making. Death is the ultimate sacrifice for the next generation of these remarkable creatures.
Weeknights. Travel the globe and hang out with the locals. Discover the skill and beauty of our natural friends.